Jerrycans. Often it's the little things that, when used in high numbers, add up to make a significant impact on a war. The jerrycan was, and still is, one of the best ways to transport fuel or even water, meaning these cans could be life or death for soldiers in the field. They are called jerrycans because they were developed as Germany's standard military canister, called the Wehrmacht Einheitscanister. But that's a bit of a mouthful for the English-speaking world. Jerrycan is much easier. A quick aside, jerry was late World War I and World War II slang for Germans. This is likely because the words alliterate, and possibly because jerry used to be a nickname for a 19th century chamber pot, some of which resemble the helmets the Germans adopted during World War I. But apart from a cleverish name, the design of the jerrycan was incredibly clever, over any other design of the time. First, the handles. The three-handle design allows for one man to carry 4 cans empty. It allows for 2 men to carry 1 full can together. It allows for easy passing of cans between men. These handles and the space behind them are also hollow and positioned above the filling cap. This creates an air pocket in the handles, so if the can is dropped into water, it floats. The 3 handles are further strong enough to support jerry cans being stacked on top of each other. Next, the indentations. The indentations on the sides of the can strengthen the can in a similar way to corrugated sheet metal. The indentations, along with the air pockets in the handles, further allows the can to expand or contract due to changes in the weather. Unlike older designs, jerry cans weren't welded at the corners. They were welded down the center in a recessed seam, protected from impact damage. Protecting the inside of the can is a plastic liner that both prevents corrosion and allows the cans to be used for drinking water. Many fuel cans before this time had screw caps and required a funnel and wrench to operate, but the jerrycan has a cam lever cap, providing an airtight seal. It's also permanently attached to the jerrycan, so it can't be lost. When you open the cap, there's a breather tube, allowing for air to enter as fuel exits, making for a nice, steady flow. The mouth of the jerrycan is wide and long enough that fuel can be poured without the use of a funnel. The German military immediately benefited from the jerrycan at the outbreak of World War II. During the invasion of Poland and France, motorized troops outpaced supply lines, but these troops had their trusty jerrycans and were further issued with lengths of rubber hose. They simply siphoned fuel where and whenever possible as they rapidly advanced. The Americans were the first to get their mitts on a jerrycan for the purpose of copying the design. In 1939, American engineer Paul Pleiss was traveling in India with a German colleague who happened to bring along 3 jerrycans, which he managed to bring back to America. It took some effort, but Pleiss eventually convinced the War Department to adopt a version of the can. Officials sometimes overlook the importance of the small stuff. The Americans simplified the design, using an X indentation on the side of their jerrycan. The recessed welded seams were replaced with weaker rolled seams. American cans further removed the liner and added a funnel for cans designated for fuel only. American cans were slightly lighter, 10 pounds versus the German 11.5 pounds. In Europe alone, the Americans relied on nearly 20 million jerrycans for transporting fuel. The British got their paws on the jerrycan during the Norwegian campaign and immediately identified it as superior to anything they possessed. Before the jerrycan, the British relied on a 2-gallon pressed steel container and a 4-gallon tin plate container. The 4-gallon containers were called flimsies. They were notorious for leaking, which when stored in large quantities was extremely dangerous on ships and trucks. At least one such ship exploded due to a large accumulation of leaked fuel in its cargo hold. It's estimated that up to 25% of all fuel carried by such containers over rough terrain was lost. That's a huge number. Furthermore, such containers were more often than not discarded after use due to their weak design. The British were quick to equip units with every jerrycan they captured, and by mid-war were producing large quantities of their own. Not wanting to take any chances, unlike the Americans, the British made near-identical copies of the German Jerrycan. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching this video on a humble but brilliant bit of engineering. And remember, for the next war, if Tom is struggling to carry gasoline, see if Jerry can. Anyway, do take care and have a nice rest of your day.